Welcome to Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. Backed by popular demand is the intrepid Drake Bailey for another question and answer session. You may want to make some popcorn and buckle your seatbelt. This one will be another wild ride. Here is your host, Gail of Gaia, with her guest, Drake Bailey.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. I'm so happy to be here with Drake. This is Happy New Year. It's 2020, and I think we're in for some new and wonderful things from what I've been told. And Drake, what's new? What's happening? Are people getting arrested like we expected?
Yes. Not mass arrests like we thought in terms of crowds necessarily, but key players are being taken out. And by next week, we should see some of the mouthy big names or whatever you want to call them get taken down. Now, I posted a thing that was from last week. It was about 6-8 days old about mass arrests in Europe. That's accurate. I validated it. Okay. The arrest thing that I posted on our Facebook page comes from a high-level source that I trust. I validated that through 2 other sources. So it's real.
Awesome. We wanted to hear that. The other thing was about, we kind of got the transition delayed a little bit. What do you have?
No, the transition is never delayed. It's always on time.
Oh.
It's like, it's like God. Sometimes he's early, but he's never late. All that sort of blessings and whatnot. Okay. We have to be ready. First, we got to clean house. That's where the arrests start coming in and all the fun and games with that. We also are required to meet certain other standards. I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of stuff about that, but cleaning up the planet, getting our stuff together, both let's say professionally on all levels. All right, that can be somebody that's a professional gunfighter, politician. It don't matter. Okay, by getting our stuff together means that we do good for the people. Period. There's no fudge room or anything like that in there, according to what ET has dictated to our illustrious leadership.
What about us average day folk? What should we be doing?
Well, raising your vibration level, getting your stuff together in terms of using my books to get you over the hump so that you can become active on a psychic basis. Good Lord, there's a bunch of things that go into that. But primarily, the primary thing or the basis of all of it is expectation. Expectations means that you are in a mode of expecting certain things. And this is something my wife taught me. She stipulates that you get what you expect. And I said, what do you mean? And she told me about this, that, and the other thing. The crux of it is this. If you expect things to be, your day to be cool, be good, the boss don't harass you, your customers are all nice, and all that sort of whatever the deal might be, then after you continually do that, okay, it may not happen right at first. Sometimes it does, but not usually. Usually it takes a little practice. Expectations from a stranger of, hey, man, how you doing? Okay, I guess. How you doing? And instead of the turkey being all frowny and maybe wanting to thump you on top of your head, the whole thing changes. Mm-hmm. And those changes are what we expect. We would much rather have a nice interlude with somebody than have a fist fight or gunfight or whatever that may lead to.
Random acts of kindness do wonderful things for people.
No. First, you got to have your house in order in terms of the kindness of recognition is really important to really important to a lot of people.
Stop it. Sorry. I don't have anybody to watch the pups to this morning.
Okay. So the ideology of random acts of kindness is to make the situation kind to you. When you do that, then that creates the collateral damage of the other person feeling like they should be nice too. Why not? This then is the butter that smooths the path of life, so to speak. And the expectation of always having good, always having a nice deal, does that. Mm-hmm. And anybody can do it. You don't have to be some kind of psychic guru or any of that. Okay.
Some of that involves self-love, doesn't it?
No. If you didn't care,
say no to everything I say. Come on now. I'm not that far off.
That stipulation is too one-sided. I mean, the reason being is that your expectation of you giving your self-love to somebody else through recognition, whatever. Hey, man, how's it going? Oh, pretty good. How are you? I'm great, man. Have a good day. You just raised themselves up a notch or two or more. You don't know the effects. And this is in the Bible. I teach the Bible on a principle basis only. You can take a lot of that horse hockey and hogwash and toss it because it's meaningless. You can give you an example. All those italics in there, they ain't in any part of the real thing. Scratch them out and then look at it. Okay. What I do is I take a principle like that of spreading good things by paying it forward in attitude first. When you do that in attitude first, that is an expression of your self-love. You care about yourself and you think you're all right. So therefore, when you do this to somebody else, like I said, you raise their notch if you maybe. And at the same time, you get practice in making this stuff contagious, like free beer.
Well, they say that, if you don't love yourself, you can't love. It's pretty hard to love someone else. So,
well, exactly. I just love myself to death. Oh.
And that doesn't mean being conceited or anything like that either.
Oh, okay.
That's how some people interpret that, though. I mean, that's what I kind of got from my family when I was younger, that I had to get past. Like that wasn't. But anyway, that's all good. What else is happening?
Well, our sciences are finally catching up to things and figuring stuff out. One of the things, and I say only one because there's several in the works that are not yet here, as grungy, nasty, funky, smelly as the HIV virus might seem, it can be used for good. Here's how that works. The HIV virus is rather simple, actually. It's not complex at all. What it does is it has within it, as a disease, the capability to alter your genetic makeup in such a manner that your immune system goes in the toilet. It can't function. Okay, that's the idea. That's supposedly the idea of it. Okay, you want to really start something? How about this? What happens if we grabbed hold of that little virus? Come here, you. Nail him down to a board and reconstruct that contagiousness of immune system to repairing genetic malformations that you might have that would allow you to have cancer and things of this nature. Mm-hmm. Guess what? It works 100%. No side effects. It's a beautiful thing. We're beginning to get our medicine to a point where it actually does healing work. Okay, and a physician, the word physician, if you look it up, means holy man. Healer. Man? Holy man. Take it back a few more millennia, and it is healer. That person which takes power beyond the capability of most mortal men, and boom, Where'd your leprosy go? Oh, wow, man, I don't know, but I'm glad it's gone, or whatever. Yeah. Now, everybody thought that things like DDT and thalidomide and all that were nothing but straight up evil. Well, they found some beneficial uses, as an example, for thalidomide. You take thalidomide, listen carefully, you're going to love this one. Take thalidomide and dilute it in a certain way. And when you put it in a spray bottle and go to a leprosy colony and spray people with it, their leprosy disappears overnight. Gone. Totally gone from there. They no longer have that problem. Now, so, thalidomide babies were our stupidity in the application. These people didn't have leprosy. So what are you juicing them up with something that cures leprosy? So anyway, so it give your genetic code a bad case of the hangovers. Mm. No big deal.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So if you think about what can be done, the limitations of an individual. We could always lock them up.
Yeah.
Put them in the bathroom, see what kind of a mess they make.
Yeah, I've got one, the Shasta, I call her the shredder, because if she gets a hold of a toilet paper, a roll of toilet paper.
Put the toilet paper up.
All over the floor.
But anyway, if you understand the capability of humankind, and the aspect that all of the ETs are after, the thing that they want most, is our capability to take red and yellow and make orange out of it. Not only did we get the color, we got trees that grow them. I mean, what's the limit? Okay. According to the present sciences and the understandings of things like instantaneous reactions, string theory, hyperdimensional physics, and all that sort of stuff that is way over everybody's head, it all boils down to expectation and knowing. This is the key. Kids are great at this. Knowing that the only limitations to what they're doing is their imagination. Where can your imagination take you? Nobody knows but you. And the only way to find out is to make yourself into a lab rat and experiment. You'd be amazed. But those are just some of it. I was in contact both last night and night before last with upstairs, and they're going nuts.
What do you think of that?
Well, they got first of all, the logistics involved with dealing with everybody on a planet. That's first. That's huge, okay? All of a sudden, you're going to find, and this has been beginning to happen a little bit at a time, where the things that were nasty, acerbative, acidic, etc., are being looked at with a critical eye of, that ain't me. Why in the hell am I following or doing or whatever? Okay, so consequently, the things that are considered an orthodoxy of belief are being questioned.
Finally.
You can get into all this. Who's right? Is it Christianity or the Jews? Well, what about Muslims? You take it all into context, and if you look at the meeting, now there was a meeting where they decided all of this crap. Who was going to be against, who's going to be adverse to the existence of another, etc. And three of the main religions are nothing more than a political platform.
Thank you.
You really got to be astute to understand the differential here. The Christian church just wants you to fill that plate, okay? And even if you give something of great value to them, it doesn't mean anything more than putting $1 in the plate. And I've had experiences with people that were like neighbors or associates or whatever who had those experiences. They didn't appreciate it, okay? They tell you give to Red Cross so that you can help these poor people out. There's a problem with that, and I pinned them down on it. one of the ladies that was driving a truck after a hurricane down in Florida was giving away meals, and I took a meal. I mean, why not? Decent food. And I asked, I said, if I had some money to give and I gave it to you, would it go directly to help these people here or what? She says, no, we don't work that way. I said, well, how do you work? And they put all the money in a pot, and then they can send it to outer Slobovia or wherever they want to. The best thing to do is not to pay attention to somebody that does that sort of thing. Give it to a local charity, sometimes a church, sometimes a community organization. It varies, but do a local deal. You'll be much more satisfied knowing that that money, that dollar you give, that at least 80 cents or so of it, maybe the whole thing, is going to patch somebody's roof or turn the water back on or whatever the immediate need might be.
Right in your immediate area.
Yeah, where the storm hit. I mean, they didn't head outer Slobovia, but they do what they want to with the money, irrespective as to need, irrespective as to what's going on. Yeah. So that kind of, that sort of thing kind of put me in a little bit of a bind in terms of wanting to give them a donation. I didn't give them any money, and I haven't.
I used to think Goodwill was, there for Goodwill, and until I found out what the CEOs were making at Goodwill.
Well, a lot of people see advertisements for Wounded Warrior Project. The only problem I have with that is that the CEO is making in excess of $180,000 a year. How many of your $5 donations goes to make that up? Okay, how many veterans could you take care of if all you had was reasonable expenses instead of that sort of crap? I mean, it boggles the mind that people think it's cute to take your true, heartfelt beliefs and actions and put it in their pocket, put it in their bank account. I never have really liked anybody that did that. And I have found over the years a whole bunch of different ones that do just exactly that. That is why on my website, you'll never find a click to pay. Mm-hmm. You're not going to find a donation button. I'll do it out of pocket as long as I can. Mm-hmm. Just that simple. And that's why I do it that way. I am not a patriot for profit. And some of the stuff that we got going on in this country right now, I understand that the Democrats are losing their mind over the impeachment and whatnot because there's no case there, among other things. And, well, wait a minute, and they can be held liable to the same extent as could the person thereafter. In other words, they can do 10 to 25 or more each charge. They want to call witnesses, but they're not in charge of the Senate. You have your case, you present it. Oh, we can do it again. No, I don't think so. Why not? Well, people in the primaries are being voted out of office. They're not being given another chance. All he did was, flap my gums, horse hockey.
Do they have to be out of session in order to be arrested? Is that true?
No, hell no. The only people that are immune to direct arrest are heads like Homeland Security head. Okay, he's immune to arrest while in office. All right, NSA head, etc. Then you have the president and the vice president. Everybody else, you can have some fun with them shiny, nice bracelets if you really had a lot of them. I think it would be just great to see some of these big mouths, and they got a mouth bigger than an alligator. All mouth and no ass. I've seen that before. Consequently, I would love to see a whole bunch of these people all at once be arrested publicly. If I were in charge of doing something like that, I would invite all of the press, every last one of them, especially the fake news people. They'd love that.
Well,
that'd be something to chew on.
Yeah, I was thinking, remember what they used to do in the old days, tar and feather them? Throw them in the trash can.
Yeah. Now, one of the things one of the things they used to do in communications that people are not aware of, and this is still, these regulations, rules, and laws are still on the books, is when somebody does a treasonous act, be it specifically if it's a communications company, they're subject to lose their capability of the licensing for whatever level of communications it may be. It could be telephones. It could be newsrooms. Think about it. They pull their broadcasting license. The door is closed until such time as they get it back, if they can. I mean, and here's the deal. All of the things that we have been used to, oh, it don't matter, they're going to get away with it, or whatever the attitude may be, is coming to a screeching halt. The restoration of the law, as directly applied to all the individuals involved, is to be made pretty much absolute. You can't follow the law. You can't be a policeman. You cannot be a law enforcement officer in any agency if you cannot uphold the law. And there's a lot of things that have gone on in the recent past. States have told the police that civilian confiscation of property is illegal. You can't do that. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. And that is also a part of the federal law. Now, if you're doing some kind of nasty, felonious thing, like you got a ton of bricks of cocaine in the back of your RV, they can take your RV. I know they're going to take you, but they can take your RV under those circumstances.
What if you don't have anything like that?
Well, what are the,
I had an RV. The reason I asked that is I had an RV taken. The tire, I got a flat tire on it. I didn't have. I was just moving it to get it fixed. They took it. It didn't have anything in it, and I was living in it. It was my home. And the state of Arizona, with a police officer, took it. Towed it 100 miles away. There was no way that I could get it back. It was only a 1989. I mean, it was an old thing, but I was living in it. It was my home. They took it.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Many states don't like that because of what it does to people, because the collateral damage of the situation is so heavy for the individual involved. You were living in it. Okay, well, they can't tow something if somebody's inside of it. Oops. Now, if you'd known that back then, you'd gone in, got in bed, and went to sleep. I missed work one day. Was no big deal to me.
Well, they've done a lot of things like that. And I recently posted an article about police being known for testifying, and that kind of thing. That needs to stop.
Okay, here's the deal. If you're not blocking a major artery, you have 24 hours. Bear this in mind. Doesn't matter what any laws state. If your vehicle becomes incapacitated, flat tire, engine won't start, whatever the deal may be, you have 24 hours to move it. Well, even if you can't afford it, to tell the tow company, hey man, I don't want to lose it. Why don't you pack it over to your yard? I'll get the money together and come see you. No problem. Well, a lot of people don't think on their feet. They get this. They get the same problem everybody had when they was in grade school. We're going to have a test. When they say that 4-letter word test, everybody's mind goes blank. I don't even know who I am, and they want me to write it down. That sort of thing. Okay, if you know what the capable rights are, then you can exercise them.
Well, some of these places where they will take your vehicle will charge you $35 a day.
I'll say it again. Talk to a local private dude or person and say, hey, I need to keep the cops from absconding with my stuff, and would you please tow this over there? I got $10 now. I get paid often enough. I will bring you more money until we pay this off. Now, 90% of the small yards, and I'm not talking in cities, but generally in the suburbs, let's say, or just outside a city, don't really have that $35 a day fee to store something. They don't usually have that. It's usually more like $10 maybe, if they got one at all. The best thing to do is to talk to the person, let them know, and say, look, I have some serious problems, and I don't want them made worse by these guys with badges and guns. Can you please tow me over to such and such? I heard where it's at. It's not that far away. I can manage to figure out a way to get a ride to get there to pay you something.
Isn't part of the problem the fact that they require these quotas for cops? Isn't that a problem?
That's been an issue for a bunch of years, and they have proved it only a very few times. But they have proved that there are quotas for various things, be it traffic citations or what. Doesn't seem to matter. Mm-hmm. But that's their revenue in terms of, you got to go to court, and part of the court fine goes to them as well. But the deal is that if you pop enough paper over the correct period of time, and they usually, every week, month, whatever, then you're paying for your badge and your police car and all that. That's the way they look at it. It's almost exactly the same thing as, please click on my sponsor. I get money for that, and it helps keep things going. And, well, there's a lot of people who do that. I don't see anything really wrong with it, unless it's something that's nasty, like taking your RV or your car or all the money you got. I got 30 grand, I'm going down to buy a car. No, you ain't got 30 grand more, give me. And they take it. Well, the guys that took the $38,000 off of this one guy. This guy just happened to have a friend who was a top-notch lawyer. Not only are they no longer cops, the police department has been given an order by a federal judge never to do that again. And number 3, if they ever do it again, they disband the police department.
Yes, it's unfortunate. Not everybody has, friends like that or whatever.
I understand. I'm not saying everybody can do that. Now, Texas Freedom School is one of the places I recommend people go to start with and get the part that deals with what you're dealing with. It'll give you a lot of the time, not every time, but a lot of the time, it gives the source of the information, be that a federal code and or law of that nature or whatever. But you can't just, it's called due process. You can't just stop down with somebody's property because you.
Oh. Sorry about that.
Got a bathroom and you lock them in there. Put the toilet paper up.
You'd be scratching on the door so hard that I'd be. Hang on. Nope. No. Okay. And here you go. Sorry about that. I'll put them in the bathroom for a while and see if that works.
Did you put the toilet paper up?
Yeah. It's up. It's on the roll.
It is really difficult to live life without toilet paper. I've tried that before and it didn't work too well.
I wouldn't want to try it. Yeah, women use it more than men.
I found out which leaves of which plants not to use.
Ooh.
There's certain kinds of rashes you don't want in areas like that, I tell you.
My God. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, the neat part about this is that what has to happen here on our planet is that we got to get our stuff in order and start cleaning up our mess, specifically our nest being the planet, okay? As we start taking care of Gaia, she puts in the good word with upstairs, and the upstairs checks it out. They're going to check. They're going to see whether or not we're really doing it. If we're really doing it and we got a good handle on it, they flip the switch and off we go to 4D. Now, we're not
going to. The sound changed for some reason. I don't know what's going on, but.
Oh. Well, anyway, the fun part is this. The situation is simple. a lot of people have got the cart before the horse, among other things, have not done their homework and all this other happy stuff. Now, I'm going to name Kent Dunn as being participant, in one particular area that I have personally been fully and heavily involved in. It comes under the title of the Great Earth Changes. That's where the Mississippi runs backwards up into Canada, the United States split in half, and parts floating and all this other happy stuff. One of the stipulations is that when the changes start happening, that there's going to be high winds. Okay. When I got into this, we looked into it, and they were supposed to be in the 600 mile an hour range. Now, that's pretty much going to wipe out anything that's on the surface. I don't care what it's made out of. Okay. And I told ET, I said, well, I don't know how to do this because I've not messed with this before. Is there some kind of a way to mitigate that, at least reduce it considerably or get it under control or something? And they said, man, we're not sure. I said, well, get with your scientists and I'll dig up all I can and we'll get back together. We got back together, and guess what? There is a way to seriously change that 600 miles an hour, 400 to 600 mile an hour wind. We've got it down to be between 75 and 125 miles an hour. Permanent. It cannot go above 125 for any reason. It don't matter if there's a hurricane. 125 is max. The reason we did this was to alleviate the ideology of suffering for people that couldn't handle it or would get blown away or whatever. The second reason my secondary reason for accomplishing this was to see whether or not the so-called advanced technology could be applied to a situation, hadn't happened yet, but could be applied to a situation in such a manner as to bring it back down to reality. 600 mile an hour is not real. 175 to 100 and a quarter, that's real. That's a Cat 1 tornado, as they would call it. And by the way, all of those things have been screwed with. Tornadoes go up to 10. Ooh, a Cat 10. Ooh. Now, Cat 5 will eat an interstate. It actually has happened in Kansas. The Cat 5, and it wasn't the big spread out Category 5. This was more of a concentrated one, but it ate the interstate right down to the dirt underneath it. Now you're talking 2 feet of reinforced this, that, and the other thing. It ate it. Okay. And that's just one example. You hear about Category 5 in hurricanes. That's the biggest lie going. It used to go to Cat 10 on our official categorization schedule. I did some checking. And guess what? It goes to a Category 20. Now, one of these nasty friggin' storms hit many thousands of years ago, but hit Mexico. Now, if you'll take a look, line up from the Gulf of Mexico across Mexico City and look around, and you'll notice that there's a big spot in the middle of the mountains where there ain't no mountains. That's where the storm come through. It ate mountains. So, you start looking at this stuff and the truth starts coming out and people go, holy moly, now what do we do? Build a bunker deep? We're supposed to have a coronal mass ejection. That's where the sun takes a big dump in straight up atomic energy in a big puff in one direction or another. What's neat about it? It's supposed to fry the planet. That's been taken care of. We worked with the entities, and they are a fire people. And I'm not going to get into that very far, simply because it gets really convoluted. But they live in that environment, just like the people live in other environments that we can't. But we talked to them and asked them about it, and, oh, yeah, that's supposed to happen suddenly. So I said, can you prevent it? Well, I hadn't even thought about it. Well, we don't want to get fried. We can't live in your environment. Don't bring your environment over and dump it on my plate. It'd roast the plate and me too. We want to live. We like this. So do you think you can check into it and all that? It took them about 3 weeks to get back to us. We think we found a way to mitigate it. I said, well, let's go. And so they changed some of the physics parameters of the star we call the sun to a point where it won't do that. We're not going to get roasted. We're not going to have 400 to 600 mile an hour winds. These things were a part of an ancient prophecy, and that ancient prophecy was supposedly set in stone. Well, if you break the stone and then glue it back together the way you want it, things change. We have been able to change this. Now, I say we. I'm involved, but I'm not necessarily the principal. There's a group of us in all these cases that worked on all these things. So it takes more than one person or one entity to accomplish goals at that level.
That's big.
Well, that's just simple plain fact. Now, we did the solar flare and the solar flare idea and the winds. We did that, oh, good grief, back in 04 or 05. I was working with these people. That's when we accomplished these things. Since then, it is because as an example, the reduction in the wind was so great in the amount that it is even subsiding further. We don't know if you're going to have much wind at all. It might be 50 mile an hour. That'd be it. That'd be fine. Now, number 3 on the hit parade. Planet Earth is supposed to split in half or some crazy.
I believe that.
Well, that's what the Great Earth Change is called for. And so we changed that. We are presently these are some of the most freaked out specialists I've ever run across. What they're doing is there are plates, tectonic plates. One goes over the other, or one goes under the other, whatever. Okay. What they're doing is they're knitting those together. And they're not going to be able to, in other words, California ain't going out in the ocean anytime soon. As an example. Florida is not going to suddenly sink. The whole thing was supposed to sink. The sea level is not going to rise more than about 18 inches tops. Now, back in the day, and this is thousands of years ago, it went up suddenly. There was a thing called Atlantis that got sunk. The reason it got sunk is that the sea level rose suddenly. Now, by suddenly, I'm talking about within, anywhere from the fastest, I think, was about 45 minutes, and the slowest was about 3 hours, but it rose 600 feet. Now, supposed to do it again. We changed that too. I mean, these absolutes, we found out the the entities responsible, took them out of the way by whatever means. Some of them got just plain flat fried, but we got to the control room and changed the readings, changed what it's doing and all this other happy stuff so that it won't do that. And this is, I keep telling people I've worked with ET a lot, and believe me, when you get into something like this and you're working, rubbing elbows together, getting something done, there's no better experience than I can allude to, and no greater entities to work with than the ETs I know.
Weren't some of these things that happened to Atlantis and Lemuria, weren't that a result of wars or
Lemuria was destroyed by an influx of a conquering race.
That's
That conquering race has been put on quarantine. They're not allowed to leave their solar system. They can tool around inside that all they want. They come out, instant destruction. Okay, that was one. Now, Miru was before it, and that was a war, straight up war. Okay, and they took a pot shot at a aircraft, miss, and it'd blow up a state. That sort of thing. Okay, then the people on the ground. There was people on the ground back then. Started using their best weapons, primarily a electromagnetic catapult, for want of a better description, that would shoot hard spherical objects that contained concentrated plasma. A lot of people fool with it. Plasma ball, zoom. You see it in the movies. Well, you can do that, but those are weak. Okay, they'll hurt you if they hit you, but it wouldn't do nothing much to the spacecraft. Maybe take a little paint off. You know, you need something heavier, so they concentrated the plasma. Plasma concentration is something that ETs shy away from because of the possibility of it going off. It's sort of like, well, let's see if this is really nitroglycerin. Let's shake it up. Right. Well, all you got to do is make this stuff, and it's subject to that kind of a reaction. Anyway.
Wow.
Then you have the problem. Everybody knows about the fires in California.
Yeah.
Some people, some enterprising people, and I got to give them a lot of credit, went out and got pictures of the beam weapons.
I saw
that
some
were
of those pictures.
setting shit on fire and all this. You know, it melts the middle out of a house and cars. We don't touch the trees around it. That ain't a forest fire. Gotta be stupid.
Is that going on in Australia now too?
Well, that's why I put that out as a post. And Australia. I expect to see pictures in the near future of beam weapons being used to promulgate the fires in Australia. Now, this is a part of the high level technology that the deep state, bad guys, whatever you want to cabal that you want to call them, have and are. Well, they don't have a problem using it.
Take that beam and reverse it right back, mirror it right back at them.
Well, there is a reflective force field that will do that. Putting that together and knowing where they're going to be, that's iffy. It's easier to take one of our craft and go after them. Hey, look at this. Identify yourself. And you get this thing, F off. Oh, really?
You're done. Yeah.
Well, cut a little chunk out of it and see whether or not they want to talk after that. I mean, if they don't, poof.
Yeah. What about the chemtrails? Are they ever going to stop?
Oh, good Lord. They got majorly out of control around here. I'm going to see if I can't indirectly contact President Trump and say, hey, thought you said this was done. You need to tell everybody to stand down, ground your aircraft. Don't do that anymore. Not over the continental United States anyway. Yeah, I'm not going to. If you don't, we're going to shoot you down. Now, they probably will have to shoot one of them down in order to get the message across. The World Health Organization, believe it, thinks that is a good way to apply sunscreen to the planet. They can't grow grass or trees, but we can sure screw everything else up.
There was literally an X marks. I mean, they had an X in the sky the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Are they targeting this area or what?
Well, if you're at the right angle, it makes a target. Now we know where to shoot that beam weapon right through that X. Right into that boy's garage.
Exactly.
Wonderful thing. When the people finally find out what the bad guys have really been doing, I like these forest fires or earthquakes, nasty weather of different types. All of this belongs to the dark cabal. Now, one of the things I do is I make a sweep. I take a look in an area, and if I find any weather machines, I blow them up.
Good.
Well, that kind of screws up their plans for, we was going to make a hurricane right in the middle of Kansas. Man, not now, you ain't. Yeah. Real simple. You pull the plug on their shit, and it don't work too well. So that's one of the things I do. That's just sort of a fun hobby of mine.
Hopefully some of these are the ones that are doing this are going to be arrested soon.
Oh, I wouldn't be so nice as to arrest them. I'd probably just put them in a big vat of that chemtrail shit that they're spraying on us. And see how they like treading chemtrail water. Oh, my God, this stuff eats flesh. Well, you won't last very long. You don't have to worry about it. Oh, it hurts. Good.
Yeah.
Well, they've upped the percentage of things. Aluminum is somewhere near critical mass. It's around 55-60% above normal. Oh, what the hell,
Yeah, and that really screws with your brain.
Well, it don't take a rocket scientist to figure out that they're screwing us over. It does. They used to spray biological weapons on us. They did that back in the 40s. All right, and I've run across some of it. And it is nasty when it gets hold of you. But it took me about 6 weeks to get rid of it. I had a rash on this arm, went down around my elbow and was heading for my armpit. And I found out some stuff that I could do to it, and I did it, and it kind of went, holy, what was that, It's kind of like you get a big bug that's getting ready to bite you, and you go, okay, well, that's what I did. That's it. Anyway, I told them where I found it. So hazmat, believe it or not, hazmat was called, and they came out and they checked, and they said, oh, good Lord. They could not believe. There's this, I don't know if anybody's ever taken out a wall in an old house where they had a coal-fired furnace. Mm-hmm. Coal leaves the dust. Well, this stuff left the same kind of, it looked similar, dust was all over. Now, one thing about Florida, and this is where this took place, any kind of place that a critter can find, they'll occupy. There was not even one bug. Fire ants stayed away from it. Nobody wanted any part of that building. Why? Well, it was contaminated with this bug that would eat everybody that showed up. So hazmat come by, and it took them the better part of 10 days. This is just a little itty bitty, it wasn't even as big as one car garage building with a couple of awnings on it. That's all it was. It used to be a hot dog stand or something years ago. But it took a hazmat, took them like somewhere around 10 days to take it apart, bag it, tag it, and they took off with it. They didn't say they were going to the local dump or going to throw it in the fireplace. They didn't say what they were doing with it, but they took it. So, that kind of convinced me that I got into some pretty nasty, here and there.
Well, speaking of hazmats, it amazes me that we have people that have to wear hazmat suits putting fluoride in our water. I read somewhere that there's some lawsuits going on where that.
You know why that is?
Because it'll eat them alive.
Yeah, exactly. It dissolves. Now, they had a spill. I tried to get the video. Could not. I was a little bit late. Couldn't get it. They made sure nobody had any kind of video link to this. They had a truck with a I thought it was pretty neat. It was a little tanker truck. It wasn't very big. Anyway, it had a problem, flat tire while it was being driven or whatever, but it flipped over and the tank broke and this stuff come pouring out. Now, what they found, what was neat was outside the tank, it was eating, now chemical reaction like acid, eating the tank. Okay, all kind of bubbles and that sort of, okay, now let's take it a step further. It dissolved the asphalt on the road, dissolved it, turned it fluid liquid, okay? Around the little drain that went into the local sewer system was concrete. It ate the concrete. Then it started chewing on the friggin' grain. Now this is steel. The drain cover. is being designed. Yeah, but it's good for you. We put it in your drinking water to prevent cavities.
Yeah.
Or you can do it yourself. Here's a glass. Drink some of it.
And it's so hard to believe that we fell for all of that.
Yeah. Well, that is the fluoride is a byproduct of the creation or manufacture of aluminum. It's exactly what it is.
Yeah, I heard that they actually scrape the walls of some of those plants is where they get it from. It's not a natural source of fluoride.
Yep.
It's horrible. Anyway, are you ready for some questions?
Oh, yeah, I can stand it if you can.
Okay.
Before you do that, there's this thing here.
American future.
Yeah, but what I like is this. You know what's going on in Virginia right now, right?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about
that. Check out the backside of this.
Come and take it.
That's my coaster for my coffee.
Going to be a lot of lead poisoning going on, huh?
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I've been putting a lot of gun control and other horse hockey things out on the internet. What people don't realize is that a state may intrude minorly in commercial applications of sales and distribution of things. That's part of states' rights. What they may not screw with is the Constitution that says that you have the right to keep and bear arms. And I love this. Somebody decided to get a wild hair and take on some people. Guess what the Supreme Court says? It's your right. Oops.
What's with this governor in Virginia?
I don't know, but they're having some real problems trying to keep the local citizenry and militias from opening fire on the government. Now, the real serious problems. They want to kill all the legislators that did this, and the governor, and anybody that gets in the way. So they're trying to keep a lid on it, and they're trying not to get it jacked out of shape. However, if any of this legalism doesn't work, expect Civil War II to start in Virginia.
We really don't want civil war, but this guy is just, I can't believe it.
Well, it may not be a civil war because if the feds don't step in to stop it, then we have free reign, okay? And the problem that they have is that 96 of 102 counties had already declared themselves a Second Amendment sanctuary.
Yeah.
Well, here's what's really funny. This is the biggest joke I've heard in a while. The idiot, hello, Mr. Attorney General for the state of Virginia, you're a friggin' idiot. Why? You say sanctuary doesn't have any legal implications. Think about that very carefully, because if it doesn't work under this use, it's invalid everywhere, and you don't have that authority. Oh, the fun is going to begin. We're getting rid of that turkey, too.
Yeah, I don't see how the governor even thinks he has that authority because it goes totally against the Constitution. What is
well, it? He called a bunch of law enforcement, and they said, we ain't doing that shit. And that's a quote, okay, from the commissioner of the state police, all right? Wow. Calls up the National Guard, and the commander says, we don't do unconstitutional things like that. So he don't have either one of those. Now, what he's trying to do is get the UN to come in. Now, here's a funny. New York State decided to play the same game. They wanted to register the guns, and nobody showed up. They had maybe 5, I think, total in the whole state of New York. Okay. So, guess what?
They're probably paid.
They put out an ad. They're hiring gun confiscation professionals under UN authority. Hey, bud, you can't bring foreign troops into the United States at the state level. It doesn't work that way. So at any given minute, they can go arrest that bogus BS artist too.
That's what needs to happen.
That'd be nice here. Everybody knows the words. And that would be my, anything nasty you can think of is probably my description of these sort of people.
Yeah, I kind of envision this trash bin being rolled up to the the government building.
Throw the bodies out the window.
Filled with tar and feathers and throw them into it.
Yep, that's a possibility. To be honest, I don't know where this is going to end up, but it is if, and this is an if the feds and a bunch of other people don't clamp down on this and stomp them out with a Gestapo boot and say, no, you don't do that. Civil War II.
Yeah.
I guarantee it's what's going to end up happening. First time they go to Farmer Ned's place, and he's got a telephone tree. He called 3 people. Those 3 people called 3 people. And that's been going on for 20 minutes. Look at all them cars and pickup trucks. What are we supposed to do? Yeah. What happens when you're outnumbered, outmanned, just plain bodies? And, this is the beautiful part, most of the militias have better arms than the law enforcement officers. Oops.
Well, actually, I'm happy to see that some of the law enforcement officers are actually saying, I'm not doing that. That's unconstitutional.
All of them in the whole state said no.
That's awesome. Yeah.
A
little more respect.
Anyway, we got questions.
We sure do.
I told you I was excited. Now you see why.
Okay. The first question, and this is interesting. It says, I've never heard this before. It is reported that over 100 stars have disappeared in recent years. What happened to them? I've never heard that. But.
Well, when you run out of fuel, the light goes out. Just like with a generator, same sort of deal. It's just a little different. Now, the other part is that we have an insidious nasty, and it's trying to eat our universe, and we're fighting back. And when we fight back at a certain level, it can extinguish a star.
Wow.
So, they've had planet pulverize. Let's see, what do they call that? Planet eliminators. Those are a weapon that's been common among ET for good grief, a few thousand millennia.
Is that what they were kind of trying to show us on Star Wars, where they had?
No, Star Wars, the Death Star.
Yeah.
I personally was on patrol and got called that there was an emergency because one of the scout ships was being held in stasis. And he had reported before they were able to turn his radio off. Right now, I call it radio. That's a loose term. Before they were able to turn his communications off, he said it looked like a Death Star on Star Wars. I said, no, where are you at? Keep broadcasting. He could sort of intermittent every once in a while, but it gave me a general direction. I got over where he was at. And lo and behold, it looked like a Star Wars Death Star. Exactly. It was supposed to be brought here for the Armageddon War. Whoopee, everybody dies. Okay, well, guess what? I freed the scout ship and told him to put it in reverse however fast he could go. And he hit light drive and went, disappeared. I turned around to the Death Star and I said, all right, let's see what we got here. And I started compressing the son of a bitch. I crushed it. Literally out of existence. None of it exists. Not the personnel on it or any part of it. It's gone.
Good.
I'll do that anytime I find one. I'll do the same thing all over again. The next time, I'm going to send it back to the person that authorized its creation. That's the nasty we're fighting against. I'm going to send that to his control room. And it's going to be moving at such high velocity, he won't be able to do nothing about it except get out of the way. This is one of the reasons I am getting a little grinchier and a little nastier and a little funkier on a steady basis. People are screwing with things that they don't have the right to screw with, and I have had enough of that bullshit. Mm-hmm. So here we go. Next.
Okay. What will happen if the magnetic pole used to be going 2 meters per year toward Russia? Now in the last few years, it went as much as 30 meters. what are we on? A spaceship? A planet? Or?
It's a combination. Let me express this so you get it. ET has for years had living, or better known as live, spaceships. And by that I mean it is a sentient entity that they discuss things with. Okay? It is a living envelope, so to speak, in terms of carrying its cargo. Mm-hmm. The deal, and this is really screwy, and you really have trouble, the physics is what will give you problems. It's a combination of all of the above. It's a sphere. We're on a globe. Okay. It's also a flat. It's on a flat. Now, think about that. Both at the same time now. Don't forget that. Now, you want to get your imagination all cranked out of shape? The next one really going to do it. It's a combination of spaceship and living entity. We know it as Gaia, or however you want to pronounce that. And she is a pretty nice queen. I like her a lot. So I've done a lot of things, a lot of really good things, both for her and with her. So the deal is that we have a trinary going on. Now, each one of these aspects, first to go is going to be the flat concept. That's going to go. And the reason it's going is because you have to have interactive field spherical dynamics. And everybody can look that one up. That's where you take two force fields. You see in a vesica Pisces where it overlaps. We're right in the middle of the overlap, right in the middle of it. You have to have interactive spherical dynamics in order to transition. Woo! So the second thing to go, the last thing to go will be the physical parameters in which we think we're confined. Now, by that I mean things will expand. Things will be different. In 4D, you'll be able to walk through a wall. Now, that could be embarrassing if it's a bathroom. So, there's a lot of things that goes into that. You walked in on Aunt Matilda. I didn't mean to walk through the wall, but I'm sure sorry I did. Oh, man, what a sight. Oh, I'll be haunted by that the rest of my life. Anyway, all of these fun things are very real in 4D. Now, we have some problems with some things, primarily this. I figured out, because I am directly related is being a Q, what the deal was with my getting into trouble by getting a hold of a future timeline. Now, people say futures have a tendency to be foggy or spread too far to come up with something definitive out of it. That's not exactly true. If you take a timeline, plain old straight up timeline, like what we're doing right now, talking to each other kind of thing, and you put a sleeve on that timeline that is futuristic, the futuristic warps whatever you see, whatever information you get, it discombobulates it. So what the problem is that there's Muggsy refers to George and listens to Kent Dunn a lot. The only problem with those two is that they are now caught in the same trap that I've got caught in of a future timeline. In other words, the things that they're talking about are not yet and will not be for a specific time frame. But looks real. And anybody can be fooled. If George wants to know how to circumvent that, all he's got to do, and he's listening, all you got to do, George, is get in touch with the maintenance guys, my family that takes care of the timelines. They will teach you how to be able to see through that futuristic warpage to the realities. Just that simple. You got to go talk to them. Same way with you, Kent, if you got the capability. Okay. Interesting, huh?
Yeah, really. Okay, I didn't expect that one. Anyway, I had thought or heard somewhere about we were down to two timelines, and one was very positive, wasn't, really explained, but I think it involved the transition. The other was very negative, where we all went underground or something like that. And those were the only two that were left as of 2012. Whether or not I don't know. Is there any truth to that at all, or?
Yeah, there's truth to it, but the thing is that people don't understand what happened on 12/21/12. Okay, if you look at that number, 12, 21, 12,
12, 12, 12.
It's a palindrome, except for one little problem. There's a 1 at one end and a 2 at the other. Oops, that means it's not a true palindrome. 12, the number, 12, and then you got 2, you got 1, 2, 2, 1, 1, 2. Oh. What that was the ending of one era and the beginning of another, and it had a grace period in it. We're still in the grace period. The grace period ends March of this year. So we better get some shit done before March. I heard it.
27,000 years.
January and February, they think old man winter's funky to deal with. Wait till this hits you over the head, man. I'm going to get the biggest, fattest law book I can find and clunk.
I think we're going to do just fine. I think everything, the arrests are happening, things are going to get cleaned up, and it's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I do too. We'll see what takes place. We may not have Civil War II. These people may rescind all of this stuff and go, I'm sorry, big apologies. Well, the problem is that the local citizens, and I hope they listen to this, the local citizens can remove each and every last one of them for breach of their oath of office.
Exactly, and that's probably...
They decided to shred the Constitution, not support and defend it. Oops. See ya.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Yeah. Oh, you said it the nice way. Okay. Alrighty. Next question. I have been told that Trump signed over the dissolution of this bankrupt United States of America corporation to the Army so they can make arrests on politicians, cabal puppets, without going against the posse comitatus. I don't know.
Posse comitatus.
Okay, I didn't think
Posse comitatus limits the United States military basically to stay out of what is considered civilian law enforcement, occupation, things of that nature. But if somebody really wants it, I got the friggin' paperwork that gives the military permission to play civilian law enforcement. Oops. I got this from one of the top lawyers on the planet. Now, this top lawyer on the planet, to give you an example, Russia is no longer communist. No, where'd you get that? Well, I talked to the lawyer that wrote up the legal papers that everybody agreed to and signed that made it a democracy. Ooh. Now, the next step is after we garner world peace, it becomes a republic. Ooh.
Wow. Okay.
I've been waiting to unload this shit on people. Yeah, I really have. You notice my coffee cup?
Oh, yeah. I love that. That's so cute.
Only look harmless.
Really? Well, they went on to say, do you have any good news?
Good news. Yeah. Everything's happening that I started talking about way back in 05 and 06. That's when I started talking about this shit. I saw the plan in 07 when I made a return back to my hometown, Indianapolis. And I got with a flag officer, and he said, you like coffee? I said, yeah, strong and black. He said, that's the only way to make it. I said, sounds like military coffee to me. We did it off just fine. I mean, it's General of Buds, right? Okay. I said I spent most of let's see, it started about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I didn't get done until about 9 o'clock the next morning. That's a lot of coffee. And I read my ass off, and it was called The Plan. And I said, damn, I didn't know this existed. And he explained, after I got done, I said, I had enough reading. My eyeballs is going crossed. He said, okay. I said, where did this come from? And he explained where it started, how it started, and why. And it has been going along as sort of a ledger, kind of like you have a daily ledger. I did. I kicked the dog, threw the cat out, whatever you did that day, kind of thing. But these were primarily military operations globally, from our point of view, right? Then they recommendations for what do you think should be done? Well, you need to get rid of this turkey. You need to subjugate that one. You need to break the legs on this one over here. Okay, and it's all written down. Okay, one guy they tarred and feathered, and then they set him on fire.
Ooh.
Oh, he was a nasty mother. He had caused us a few thousand lives of military personnel. So they figured he ought to suffer on his way out, and they did. Oh, wow. Anyway.
Wow, that reminds me of something, too, that I've been reading about Afghanistan and how many people were, they were paying people to kill our, contractors were paying people to kill our soldiers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. A lot of them infiltrate things like, they'll tell you that Allah sucks canal water and I'm a Christian now and all this happy shit, and they bring them into the service, and then one day the guy gets his automatic weapon and gets some 30-round clips, locks and loads, and tries to kill everybody. That's common. That's common in our part of it. The Afghanistan, Iraq and Afghanistan both in their military and police forces. So, how do you root that out?
Wow. Yeah.
How do you get rid of the mass shooters here in the United States? Well, maybe if we arrested George Soros, the funding would stop and they wouldn't be able to hire these turkeys to do that shit.
Exactly.
I have proposed that we leave the hate sites and hateful postings up and see who visits. And then do an intense investigation behind the scenes, of course, where they can't tell that you're looking, and find out everything you can about them. So that when that butt wipe posts on something, it automatically shoots a red flag. Ooh, he's posting. Well, that may be nothing, and you take the flag down. If it is something, I'm going to go kill everybody at the mall, like that one butt wipe did. And you get that right about the time he posts it. Well, Now, think about this. Google and other places that sell merchandise, they're really neat, man. They know what color underwear you wear, which leg you put in first. What's all the times of your day when you generally go to bed, get up, and all. What you wear, what you like in the way of home furnishings, what kind of a house you got or apartment, what you drive, the license number to what you drive. I mean, now you're going to tell me that the law enforcement can't get that information and say he's driving a 1999 silver Eldorado, license plate number such and such. Go get him. You catch that bird brain friggin' idiot nutcase insanity asshole out on the interstate somewhere. He wants to have a gunfight. Fine, guys. Oblige him. See how many times you can hit the target. Take him out before he gets the chance. The church shooting. Oh, I love that.
Oh,
there was a security force in place that were armed. They had 5-6 guys pull their guns. One guy fired one shot into the problem. Where do you place that shot? Right here in the forehead. Why? It disconnects the brain from the rest of you.
Yeah, he was a marksman. Yeah,
well, you ain't got to be anything special. Just take your time and shoot accurately. That's all.
Well,
but I love that. That I read a lot. There's one 98-year-old grandma blew a guy away that broke in her house. We need more of that. What will cure a lot of the problems with crime in general is if they don't know who the hell is armed, and everybody might be, and they like shooting bad guys. Oh, shit. Well, what do you do?
Just like the Second Amendment, does it say you have to have a license to have a gun?
No. And another thing everybody, I think, should be aware of, anybody who has been in the military, and I said anybody, including everybody, every last walking, talking human who has taken an oath of service, you might want to take a look at your oath of service papers. Guess what? It ain't got an expiration date. Ooh.
By the way, has the military been able to clean out most of the bad guys?
That depends on which ones and where. And it may not, it's most probably not going to be directly the military, but rather special federal marshals designated by BAR.
Ah, okay.
Now,
I know who they are.
Hold on. There is one major exception. There are some ET bases that are occupied by pirate ETs. They're not good guys at all.
Ooh.
And those will be cleaned out. And when I say cleaned out, I mean right down to the muck on the floor that's left of them after they there's a thing called a disruptor, and if you fire it at biological entities, the individual cells, like in your arm, detach from all the cells around it. All of them throughout your whole physiology. You end up as a pool of green. Well, not necessarily green. It varies, but you got this muck, real sticky muck on the floor. That's all that's left of you.
Whoa.
I'm going to be building disruptors and a couple of other things that ET asked me not to build, but told me I'd really do it if I really wanted to. And I told him, well, that's, going to be part of it.
Okay, next question.
Yes.
Is there a planet or a galaxy called Lanulus? Laulos. Lanulus.
I heard there was, yes.
Okay, is it in the Milky Way galaxy?
Well, yeah, it has to be.
Okay. Well, that's the only question.
See, what you have to understand is you have a galaxy, and here's one dimension. From the furthest point out to the furthest point out, 5,000 light years. Look up how long a light year is, how many miles, and then multiply that again by 5,000. Okay, you're talking forever. Now, our ideology of travel does not meet ET standards or even come close. There's two manners of travel. One is, and both of them fold space-time. One of them does it on an individual basis from the ship, okay? When it takes off and disappears, it didn't disappear. It detached from ours, attached to that, and let it relax. Bingo, they're home already.
Wow.
Took them 10 minutes to go clear across the galaxy, as an example. The other one is where you do what is called in dune of the folding of space-time, where you don't actually travel, but you go places, as it was explained. And that is crude and rudimentary, but the new one, I like it. And my spaceship's supposed to have one. Oh, boy.
How exciting. Is Earth the only one of a few planets where the inhabitants have free will? And I would have to have a question on our free will, because none of us know where we came from or why we got here or how we got here or whatever.
Oh, boy. If you think back far enough, you'll be able to go on the side of the test tube where they dumped your ingredients in it and made you. Oh, there it comes, No, we're not the only ones, and we do have free will. We have been dumbed down to the extent where most people don't exercise it at all. That's where the problem lies.
Oh,
it's not so much, that you could do or don't, or somebody's doing this or that.
Yeah, I know you can make choices and so on, but
it's the things that you're not doing that are, from what I can understand, critical to our existence.
Mm-hmm. Well,
like the expectation deal.
Yeah, like you know that you're you, and you know what you're here for, and so on and so forth. Most people don't have a clue.
Well, yeah.
And they're not a Q.
Let's put it this way: each and every one of us has been given life to complete a mission.
Yeah. Okay.
And nobody and nothing is going to tell you what that mission is. It's yours to discover, and it's a real mother figuring out exactly what you're supposed to be doing. This show is a part of my mission.
Mine too.
Well, you have more of a mission coming up. You'll find that out futuristically. But my mission is to do the combination of things in terms of explanation and teaching people how to read between the lines, know what this turkey butt is really saying, or know what the real situation is and what this dink's saying bass backwards about it. Okay.
Oh boy, now you're going to have me really wondering what the heck whoa. Anyway.
Well, it's real simple. You read a headline, what do you see? You see what they want you to think. Oops.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just that simple.
Okay, here's another one. Is it true that planet Earth and us humans were brought here specifically to be seed souls for the new Earth as part of the whole new super universe?
Yeah, but you're not going to change things to the extent that infers. The new Earth is going to be the same one you're standing on or sitting on, as the case may be. It will be, it's going to be overhauled from what it is in 3D to, bingo, 4D. Okay. This is Gaia is preparing for this. She has a lot of things that her people are doing. I assist sometimes if they need it, or if I want an extra hand or something such, if I'm not busy on patrol doing something else. The planet, all the physical things everybody's familiar with is going. Okay. You don't have to die. I don't know where they got this bullshit, but you don't have to die to get there. It's like walking into a dark room at night and going and flipping the switch and the light comes on. Just that simple, nothing complicated. You didn't make any kind of interstellar travel to get from the switch to the light bulb and back. What makes you think that you got to do it? It just, okay. Here's how this works. Our universe contains within it a keystone galaxy, which contains within it a keystone solar system, which contains within it the, and I mean capital The, keystone planet. That's why we are being guarded so dutifully by the combination of huge galactic forces and universal forces both at the same time. As things go on, you're going to find that the people, the entities, the ETs that live among us are going to become known. They will make themselves known. Now, what will happen with that is that they're going to tell you, all of them, going to tell different people that, well, you can expect visitors real soon. Really? Yeah. What's going to happen is the first thing to come about are going to be the galactics. The galactics are a sort of a social worker warrior in combination. It's really weird, but that's basically what they do. Then you have the universals who are in charge of the galactics, and it's from the galactics it's from the universals to the galactics to the groundies. I'm an incarnate. Now, groundies would be an ET walking around down here, okay? You're not going to be able to tell until they say something that they're not human. You will not be able to see through the disguise they use. In some cases, it's holograph, that simple. In other cases, much more complicated and high-tech, it is a true, and I'm talking about solid, something you can grab hold of, holographic image. Now think about making a hologram into solid matter, and you begin to get to complexity. Okay? Are we having fun yet?
That is
complicated. Now that I got you back into science class, we're going to have a test.
Well, and the question about the super universe went on to ask if that's why we have special abilities that other ETs do not have.
No. That was ingrained in us from the get-go in terms of modern human, okay? In terms of a super galaxy, okay? You can't have, you can have our solar system will be made into a super or extraordinary solar system. After all the inhabited planets transition, only then and only then can you have a super galaxy. Okay. After you get all of the galaxies, oh man, you talk about a large number. You think look up the number Google. Look it up. You want to see something big? We got more galaxies than a Google.
Okay.
It's going to be a while before we really get done with this. Now, our universe at the point where we get all the galaxies converted to super galaxies or extraordinary galaxies, then the universe can raise itself up to 4D.
Okay. Next question. That's exciting. Okay. Julian Assange is dying inside Belmarsh Prison in London. Those are his own words relayed through English journalist Vaughn Smith, who revealed that the WikiLeaks founder called him on Christmas Eve to share his greetings. Smith also divulged that Assange told him he is kept in solitary confinement 23 hours per day and often sedated. That's torture. He is stating that when the reset is done by Manchuchin, that the CIA has programmed a lot of buildings all over the world to explode, and that those of us that live off of our Social Security will die because the money will no longer exist. In other words, not true. Yeah, I would. Okay.
Anyway.
In other words, a lot of us will die of starvation or will be killed by the explosions. Can you ask Drake about this, please? So, Drake, I'm asking you about this, please.
Well, that sounds like, I hope everybody out there knows what this is. You know what a road apple is? That's what a horse leaves behind after it's had a good meal. All right.
Okay. Good.
What has been iterated here is similar to the ancient prophecies. Oh, it's absolutely true. Oh, what you're getting is a gold-plated road apple. And it's full of things you don't want to be near it if it ever gets open. I guarantee you don't. The air pollution alone is apt to kill you. Okay? So, horse hockey to all of that. None of that is going to happen. And I'll tell you why. We already got most of the explosives out of all of the bridges and infrastructure in this planet, let alone all of the buildings.
I figured something like that.
All we did was we shot them. We just give them a big shot and put them in the sun. They can use the extra fuel anyway. It just makes their stuff last longer, and they like that.
Okay, here's another one. What is the scoop on Field McConnell, Abel Danger, who is reportedly been arrested? He chats about Hillary and her ties to child trafficking. Do you have any information that you can share about him?
Yeah, he screwed up. He did not get the permission I have of declassifying things and put out classified information. And they snatched the boy up for it. So he's got problems, and those problems will continue until such time as he can wiggle out of it. He'll get free of it, but it's going to be a while.
Oh, wow.
Funky, ain't it?
I mean, I was under the impression he was a good guy.
He basically is a good guy. Some of his info is not, I don't know what you'd call it, as correct as it should be, but what he did put out was classified information, and you can't do that without permission. As I stipulated, I have the permission, depending on what it is, what level it is, to declassify upon release. My talking about it on a show or whatever, and that absolves me of worrying about somebody going on my door. Gonna keep your trouble now, boy. And so there it is.
Well, the other thing is you don't want to put somebody's life in jeopardy because of the information that you provide. Is that not?
Got it. You got it. There's a lot of things that I've been told I can run with. Go ahead and put it all out there. I said, I'm not so sure how to do that. You know what you mean? Well, this, and this sounds kind of like it's probably still sensitive. It is. So I said, hey, How about if your name was in one of those? I'd ask you not to put it out. I said, now you understand why I don't do everything all at once. There it is. Yes. I'm trusted in a lot of places.
To be able to evaluate that type of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially now, we still have a lot of cabal that are still doing their nefarious things.
Yeah. Screwing people over, killing them and all that.
Yeah. Okay. Is it true that there are only 100 million humans on the earth and the rest are cyborgs or clones?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so. Is there marriage in 4D and 5D?
Of course. It may, now listen carefully. It may change and alter considerably in terms of what it is. Now my wife and I are married at the 5D level, and that's hard to do in 3D, but I know how to do things. So I did it. We did it. At any rate, where the greatest separation between what we're familiar with now and the future happens when we go from 5D to 6D.
Okay, let's go. Let's do 4 first.
Yeah, well, I want to get out of 3, so I'm out of this test.
Just get me out of this dimension.
I'm old and my wuss hurts, and I don't like that very much.
Yeah. Okay. Who would you say make up the planetary councils? The Andromedan Council, the Galactic Confederation of Planets?
It is a conglomerate of all of them. If you have even a singular planet in a certain area, it's also represented. The thing is, what is done is everybody takes notes while they're wherever they're coming from of conditions, situations, etc. This is then put into you're going to love this, super AI that crunches all the numbers and information and comes out with that one over there, that little bitty podunk planet. It needs all the help it can get. The people have got problems that are serious. We need to take care of that one first. And it runs right down the line.
Once we get all the information from how this planet got to where it is, hopefully that will help another planet never have that happen to them.
Well, yeah, they can take some preventative measures, but the thing is that we have a multitude. Now you look that word up and it covers thousands. All right, that's what it means. We have a multitude of planets that are in 2D, transitioning to 3D as we speak. Okay, the 3D needs to go to 4 badly in order to get out of that test tube shit. Some of the planets' populations won't survive 3D or the transition. Just that simple. Everybody go to war with everybody because they all hate each other or whatever the reason is. And the problem that we're looking at is how to, first of all, prevent that kind of thing. But secondly, how to give them a solid societal reference so they don't have to worry about what they're doing in terms of the relationship of conditions between them and everybody else. It's sort of like that expectation thing. Only it's you're talking billions of people on average, just like here.
Wow. Okay. Would you say it is the different solar systems depending on which galaxy they are from, star cluster, or what? The Galactic Confederation. Would you say it is the different solar systems depending on which galaxy they are?
Yeah. Let's straighten this up. You know what galaxy is? That's that big star-looking like thing that swirls around that we call the Milky Way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we have
that is our galaxy, as well as this one over here and that one over there and that one out there and everybody in between. It all belongs to us, and that is a royal us or collective of populations of differing planets and whatnot. Primarily, what is going to happen is that our commerce will be introduced to interplanetary disciplines first, After we get that under our belt and we don't have problems with it, then we get to go a little bit further and a little bit further, and it expands as it goes, as does humanity.
Would you say they're part of our galactic family, or brothers and sisters?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can say, "Hi, buddy, how you doing?" And they'll look at you and they go, "I remember you."
Well, how the hell are you?
Well, here, have a cold beer on me, you know.
Okay. Where do you see us being a year from now?
A year from now, we should be about ready to transition into 5D. It's going to take a very short period of time for us to master 4D because a lot of people have been awakened to what's really happening, okay? Plus, you're going to have ET out there. Oh, this one needs extra help. What's that involve? We're going to have to plug this thing in your ear. Collect. There you go. Wow. That's a hell of a library you got there. Anyway, awesome. Very similar to what you saw in The Matrix, where somebody would plug you into knowledge that you needed to have. Mm-hmm. That's very similar to what ET is capable and most probably will do with a load of people. What you're going to have is questions. You answer the questions. That tells them what level, where you're at in the great scheme of things, and they can plug you in accordingly. Bingo. Within, as they showed in that movie, it took maybe 2 minutes, if that, to learn how to have an experience of having flown that particular helicopter. Well, the same thing's true in terms of the amount of information that we got coming to us. It's not going to take as long as you think. Now, when I mention classes, it ain't sit at your desk and fold your hands and be a good little boy kind of thing. This is where they plug your butt, your not your ass, but well, I don't know. In some cases that would fit. They plug you in and they transfer knowledge to you. Okay, now cranial capacity is supposedly, in some respects, limited in humans. That's not the case. What happens is that you have to reconnect some genomes. Now, don't be surprised. You've seen them skulls that are long.
Yeah.
We might end up with some of that, or a bigger head. I have been expanding my cranial capacity for, let's see here, since 06. So, and believe me, you think a headache from drinking too much is something? If you think a headache from falling down the stairs is bad, wait until your skull actually gets bigger. Oh. It's a pee bringer. Make tears run down your cheeks. Unbelievably painful, but it can be done. Now, I've gotten past the pain part now, so that now when I expand, it doesn't feel like somebody's ripping holes in my skull, for want of a better, that's descriptive.
Wow. And so you're saying the actual circumference of your head increases?
The size of my head is different than it was.
Wow.
I've been making it bigger.
Okay. Is that why ETs, some people ETs, that their heads are really big?
Well, yeah, but the other part of it is that it depends on the shape of the head, okay, configuration of the individual as to how all that works. Now, we, as I said, are unique. Our specific capabilities are generally more advanced and at a higher level than ETs, if we learn how to use it.
Okay. The other thing is, we talk about our junk DNA that will be reconnected.
It ain't junk.
It ain't exactly.
You ain't gonna find no answers to that one in the junkyard. No jewels shining or any of that.
Okay, so here's another question. People I know are we still on track for the transition?
We are, as far as it can happen in its best terms. Now, that's another thing. They will not under a certain level, they won't allow you to transition until you have accomplished certain amount of goals. And those goals are on a sheet of paper in the hand of the president.
Oh, wow. And I'm sure he's working diligently at it because he's just that kind of man, right?
He's taking care of business.
Yeah.
There's nothing to worry about.
Yeah. Also, a portion, you explain how we can help our friends and loved ones who have no clue about what's to happen and how to cope with the change?
Take my hand and come with me. We're going on a roller coaster ride. Grit your teeth. Here we go. Just like you do with little kids. Same thing.
Well, they're wondering if, we've been called, people like yourself and myself, I've been called a conspiracy theorist and so on. Will people realize that we really weren't?
Yes. I've been called everything you can think of except a white man on certain occasions. And it doesn't fit. What it does is it shows the ignorance in the individual that's saying it. I'd just leave it at that. They need to be enlightened, okay? They also need to have the individual that's involved, okay, the nutcase, such as myself or whatever, to heap, what they say in the book is you heap burning coals on somebody's head. Now, that's going to burn the hair off their head if you really did that. But the ideology is that you provide a loving warmth that they can't get any other way. And that warms them up to you and your ideas. They're going to ask very specific questions at some point or another as to what's this? Why is that? If you believe in God, why do you carry a gun? Because there's some assholes in NSA that read that I was on the kill list. They don't believe in God. And I'm not willing to be their target practice. So
exactly, yeah.
Whoops.
I have a friend like that too. Who has been, threatened just like you have. And
there are capabilities, but you got to handle between 50 and 500 all at the same time. My head's squirrely enough without all that traffic. Oh, you ought to hear the voices in my head at times. You know what they've got to say about things. You need to make up some high explosives because these people need to have their shit blown up. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, yeah.
Okay, here's another one. I thought I heard you say we can't pray for our own benefit in any way, but we can pray for others. Is that right?
Sort of. Here's the situation. A prayer is a request to higher powers, okay? And a prayer, the word is ask in the book. And that word is directly translated from ato, meaning demand. So what you have done in a prayer is submit a legal and legally binding contract and request to the higher powers. So it would be difficult to pray for yourself if you heal me too, that's fine. But this person over here needs a lot of help. It's beyond my capability. Can you help me with this? And you are more likely to get a result for yourself in that manner than you are the other way. Oh, I want all the money in the world. No, you don't.
Okay. That's good. That was kind of the rest of the question, which you just explained. Yeah. Okay. I have observed that liberals and Democrats believe many false things about conservatives and Republicans because of brainwashing from the media. Will they ever hear the truth and change their positions? They
don't have a choice. If they really want to be, if they don't want to be rehabbed by ET, they're going to have to change their attitude and a whole bunch of their thought processes. Okay. Just that simple. ET's not going to put up with that crap. just to put it mildly.
You've said that liberals are due to have their brains rewired. Does that mean they will no longer be so completely ruled by their emotions and be so easily manipulated by emotionally charged language? I don't know if that's exactly
okay, here's how it goes. A person who understands what's going on doesn't have to worry about somebody who doesn't. It's just like Roadhouse. The guy said, quite simply, people who would like to be a problem are no match for somebody who's ready for them. Well, first get ready for yourself. Bingo. You got that under control, then you can play, oh, I got expectations of you. And they look at you, man, I don't even know you. Oh, you just wait. A couple of days, you're going to have a surprise you're going to like. And walk on. Oh, you talk about ratcheting things up. That does it.
Okay. These schools that we're supposed to attend to learn about 4D and 5D and other things, are they in one of those time manipulation fields like the biospheres so that we can learn things much quicker? I think you already kind of explained that.
Not exactly. It's more like the interlude that they see. They had it's like martial arts in a movie. You have to take time with the punch in order to show how it works. Okay, that's why I said, notice the Matrix took a couple of minutes. She was an experienced pilot at the end of 2 minutes. Okay, that's extraordinarily slow. Now, by slow, when you can walk faster than traffic, what the hell you need a car for? Okay.
Yeah, really.
Okay, so here's the deal. It'll be a compressed complex of knowledge. You're going to get this in several layers or levels, however you want to look at that. And once you get one done, and you will get questioned about it, so that they know that it took, or however you want to look at that. Then you go to the next level, and this can take, I don't know, anywhere from 2 or 3 minutes to hours. Now, here's the key, and this is fun. There is such a thing as time compression and expansion. If you expand time, that means that everything goes slow, way down, slow-mo, basically. When you compress it, it speeds up a lot. Okay? When you get that speeded up shit, it can speed up faster than you can comprehend, except it's going directly in. Well, like I said, they plug it in your ear. You're getting a direct contact or interface. And so over a period of, say 5 days, give or take, they can download everything they need into your pumpkin head. Now, here's the other part. When they bring you back from that biosphere or wherever it is they take you, they can, well, you love this, compress that time down into a few hours. Not 3, 4 days, but a few hours. You've been gone for 3 hours. Where you been? I've been calling you. Well, sorry about being late for dinner. I'll try not to do that again. It's just that simple. And it's not, you don't know who, not necessarily a married couple, not necessarily a family, but you don't know who you're going to be involved with in terms of these learning experiences. It's going to be based on individual rather than, and your capabilities, rather than something that would be out of whack.
Okay. This question, I think you already answered it, but it was, I have so many interests. Is there a limit on how much one individual human can learn?
No. There's a thing that you want to check into, and you'll need to be a psychic, reasonably adept psychic person. And what you want to do is you want to get yourself linked up to, in contact with, however you want to look at this, universal knowledge. It contains everything except some of the things they decided to keep secret as far as God goes in the creation. Everything else, man. Okay?
All right. Okay, the next question. You've said you communicate with President Trump indirectly. Why are you not in direct communication with him? Someone with your power and knowledge should have his ear 24/7, and he should be able to consult with you.
Oh, that's coming because some of the people in the intelligence community want everything to be in a certain way before that format's presented.
Okay. When I asked you, what does the president's private army and the military intend to do within their own policies and ranks to make sure a mess like this we're in now should never happen again, you sounded disappointed and answered like they're doing nothing and I have no plans to change. Is that right?
Is that actually a question of me?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Read it again?
No. Here's how it is. You have a combination of the president's personal army. They occupy the White House grounds in surrounding territory. If somebody does something nasty or funky or decides to come after the president, they can take him out in the front yard and shoot him, blow his brains out right there, and nobody's going to say nothing, and nobody will see it on CNN or Facebook or anything either. Okay, so that's one aspect. Number two, there are armies, and I use that term loosely. There are a large number of individuals in each branch of the service who are up to date, aware, awake, etc. And they're doing everything they can to bring as many of the people in the military branches into the fold as possible. First, you got to get rid of the leadership if it's rank, such as a certain admiral that disappeared not too long ago, such as a certain general that retired about 4 years ago. They retired for a reason. Mm-hmm. What you have to understand is that as they build this, everybody can be of one consensus. And that is that the basic parameter, the basic thing that we base everything we do on, to include military, is the Constitution. It's going to be enforced bloodthirsty manner if that's what it takes, but it's going to be enforced. The law of the land is the will of the people. Okay, there are going to be a lot of will of the peoples come out where, hey, this ain't right. We need to take care of that. Oh, okay. Let me make a phone call. Make a phone call and says, okay, it's on its way. You need to catch the bus and get out there. Bingo. Mm-hmm. Person that knows something about what the condition is goes with people that are not just qualified, but in a position to do something about it, whether it's food or water or decent place to live or whatever, whatever the needs are. Okay?
Okay. Let's see. Next question. Some of these questions are kind of long, so bear with me. You said that we will eventually have complete control of Earth because this is our planet. What about the various ETs you've mentioned that have special interests and are projects here, such as bases and experiments?
No problem. They understand their position as being secondary to ours. Okay. It's no big deal. And once the projects or whatever's going on is understood, usually they are of some benefit, if not entirely beneficial for us. So it won't be a problem.
Okay. Back to the original thing that you just said a minute ago about the Constitution. We are talking about the original Constitution,
yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that.
Not much difference.
What about the rest of the planets and overall real estate throughout our solar system as far as objections for slave trade?
There isn't any slave trade. That's something that the ET doesn't believe in, first of all. And secondly, you're talking nasties if they do believe in it or use it. And generally that it's outside the law. So if somebody decided to take issue with their existence, easy peasy. You call up hey, is this the ET Enforcement Bureau? It is. Hey, man, come on down to such and such. I got a project for you.
We got a problem here, Houston.
Yeah.
Okay. Do other species like the Pleiadians and Arcturians share planets in their home systems?
Yes. Yes. Most of the ETs get along with each other. We're going to have to learn how to do that. And you're talking a variety. Some of them are almost to the point of ugly where it makes you get sick to your stomach, kind of ugly. But we can get over that over time. You know, wow, man, I don't want to be annoyed. No, that guy messes up my lunch. I'm looking at him in the mirror, and that's bad enough. You know, it varies.
Well, this is kind of interesting question. Why destroy an entire planet just to kill the people on it? Is there no way to just kill the inhabitants, like with a biological virus or something like Borg nanoprobes? So all the resources and technology along with the ecosystem are left intact.
Depends on how far that stuff has been corrupted to the use of the ET, the bad ETs, crooks, whatever you want to call them. They're on that planet. Generally, they are quarantined to their own place. In other words, their starships only go up so high, and then they don't work no more. Now, most things require being able to breathe, as an example. So they'd probably like to have the oxygen on so they don't go up there and test it, okay? The quarantine is absolute until such time as they have paid their penance, whatever that may be. If they restore the planet to decent condition and aren't the way they used to be, then that planet will be released from quarantine. They're not going to keep them there, you know, forever. They'll keep them here until such time as they either change their ways or it does last forever, one of the two.
Okay. All right. These ET species and races that you've talked about that are hermaphrodites, do the individuals get themselves pregnant or do they enlist a partner?
You need to see a movie, and that movie's name is Enemy Mine. That's where an ET gets pregnant on its own, and no, it don't have sex with itself, and there ain't nobody around but another guy, and he ain't interested in that because he don't like humans very much.
Oh,
it happens sometimes. And what was funny was his friend on his planet, the only other entity that could talk to him, said, "Well, how does that happen?" And he looked at him and says, "It's complicated."
I bet it is, because you have to think about, genetic diversity or inbreeding as being.
Maybe. Do you? We got hermaphroditic critters and plants here on our planet that self-propagate.
And they don't
They're not quite sure. They're not quite sure how that works.
Okay. Okay. These other civilizations that have existed on Earth prior to this one, were they all human like us, or were they different?
They were all human.
Okay.
We just got too big for our britches. It's like fabled Atlantis. Oh, we know everything there is to know. Yeah, bullshit. They told them not to shoot that weapon, and guess what? The dummies pulled the trigger anyway and destroyed themselves. Oops.
Okay.
Not difficult.
How many previous other civilizations have there been on Earth?
Okay, the solar system is 864 billion years old. Figure that we had a differing advanced civilization about every 5 to 10 million years, 100 million years, somewhere in that area. It varied. Sometimes they had them close together, sometimes they were far apart, but figure 100 million years each. How many is take 864 billion, divide by one, by the millions, and then you get your number.
All those zeros and you lose me.
Okay. 864 billion years is how old it is.
That's a lot.
And if we had one about once every million years that was worth something, divide, there's what? How many billion? Is there 1,000 millions in a billion? Is that how that works in numbers?
I believe so.
No, think about it. That's a lot of people that didn't make it.
Wow. Did the previous civilizations on Earth have to endure a 3D test tube as bad as this one, or is this the worst one of them all?
They were stuck in 3D primarily. We're not supposed to be because we are too close to the transition period. Okay?
Oh, that's good. Did we, as our soul or spirit, participate in those civilizations too?
Say that one again.
Did we, as our soul or as our spirit, participate in some of these past civilizations?
Some did, most didn't.
Okay.
Most passed on to the higher dimensions, so they didn't. I'll go back there, man. I like this a lot better.
I'm ready to move on. Thank you very much. Okay. What is different about our civilization or the situation we find ourselves in that has allowed us to complete the transition this time, or that we're going to?
What's different is the general awareness of the people, okay, and our vibratory response to everything has been more positive than negative. This will improve drastically in the very near future. When it gets to a certain point, they're going to flip the switch, click, and turn the light on, and off we go.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait. Okay, is it true that a reptilian species evolved here prior to humans, possibly from the dinosaurs, and as a result of a extraterrestrial? Yes? Okay.
E.T. has been here before we were. Let's see, it'd be about 860 billion years ago. We do have some markers of that and evidence, but most of that, oh, you'll love it, is classified.
Okay. Are they still here? Are any of them still here?
Yeah, all the ET. Well, some of them have the average lifespan of an advanced ET who has the longevity connections completed should be around 1 million years. Now, we only have about 80 maybe. So think about it, think about 1 million years. How many lifetimes is that? Well, that's 1,000, 100,000, and so, I'm sure I'd get wore out long before I got to that point.
Okay. Then he went on to say, are they still here, or are they a threat to us in any way, including as a menu item?
No, we're not on their menu. We have gotten rid of most of the ones that eat people. A lot of the ET races that were here before man and have been here since and have integrated with man are still here. Many of the bloodlines, or I don't know what you'd call it, kinds of things are still represented. You can't tell them apart from any other normal human. It's just not possible. So they can wander around and sneak up on you. They can play with the little hairs on the back of your neck when you least expect, and they can be invisible doing so. Oh, they can have. If I was invisible, you would not believe some of the fun I would have. Certain people who need to be exposed, and I'm not going to say what part of exposure I'm talking about.
Oh, that'd be very funny. Okay. Did any sentient species survive on Mars, let alone animals and plants?
Where do you think we came from?
There are species there now.
That's us. That's us.
Yeah. Okay.
How about that? Ain't that? That's nice, isn't it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Was the human transition experiment in progress on Earth while this was going on?
What are you talking about? You're talking about in terms of while people on Mars is getting ready to come here?
Yeah.
Mars is the original seeding point of our planet. So you got to do one thing at a time. They get here. Now, some of them, and this is interesting, did what's called an individual or physicality transition. And they went poof and disappeared. If you want to look that up in history, check out the group of priests Mayan priests went to this cave, and they all went in there, and there was probably anywhere from 20 to 50 of them, and all of a sudden funny noises and lights started happening, and then everything went quiet. Well, the guy outside, what the hell's going on? I wonder what they're doing now. Let's go look. They went and looked. Everybody's gone, and there's only one way in there, period.
Oh, wow, that's what happened to him, huh?
Now you've been enlightened to that, and you want to get picked up by an ET craft, it's real simple. Go down to the, what the hell do they call that? It's a step pyramid, but it's got a flat top. It doesn't have that final cone shape on the top of it, Go down there and get up there on top and elicit their presence. They'll come see you.
Wow.
I don't know if they come to see whether or not you fit on their ham sandwich or how that works, but you definitely will have some form of social interaction with them. I guarantee you.
Well, I don't know if you'll be able to answer this question or not, but who are the ones that was it Mars? Are the ones who crash landed on Antarctica, or who are the ones that are on Antarctica?
At the time that they came here, we had passed the tropical portion of development of the planet, so they're probably the ones that landed. Let me think here. They landed in 3 places. One was Australia before it was separated from the mainland. Another one was Central Africa. Oh, you're going to love this. And the third one was right here in the good old US of A. Somewhere in the neighborhood of Colorado. That's where the Garden of the Gods is. And anybody has not been there, go look. It'll blow your mind. We're not capable today of picking up rocks that big. They not only picked them up, but they carved them, put them back down. I think and they giggle when I ask this question. Is ET screwing with us? And oh man, I can hear them. They're laughing their ass off right now upstairs. They listen to your show. They like it. And they think that's hilarious. And one of them will come back after everybody calms down to where they can speak again or, communicate and go, absolutely. They think it's funny. Okay. What do you mean there's no evidence? Well, of course not. We're trying to cause you people to learn how to think. No, you don't have to think much if you got a little whiz-banging box that does stuff. It's simple. It's not complicated.
Okay.
You want to see something funny? Well, you don't have the security clearance, but there's a place out west called White Sands, and they test rockets and all kind of happy shit there.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Oh, you should see the log of ETs fooling around and screwing around with the poor bastards out there while they're trying to do an experiment. They'll steal their tools. They'll unzip their fly for them. I mean, anything they can think of to screw with your mind, they'll do it. These guys went to lunch, right? Get everything all ready to go for this rocket experiment. They go to lunch. They come back. Somebody, they don't know who the hell it was, but they had to be pretty cool. And the reason I say that is they picked a friggin' rocket up, turned it around and pointed it at the ground while they were at lunch.
Have a sense of humor.
we think we're all that. We go on full nuclear alert. Hey man, we got a problem. What's that? Hey Houston, what do we do with this? And what do you mean? Everything's operational. It's all perfect. I've hit the fire button 20 times and it ain't doing nothing. What's wrong with this? Hello? When you understand they're not going to allow us to do certain things, they don't mean they're going to beat us over the head. They'll just turn a nuclear weapon into, popcorn. They like popcorn.
Or chocolate pudding.
Chocolate pudding. There was a big mess made in London during the Olympics They had that nuclear scare. Oh, some stupid mother got the right frequency and set off one of those nuclear things. The only problem was it was the detonator charge, and there was something in the neighborhood of 100 cubic tons of chocolate pudding went everywhere up under the. I don't know if they're still cleaning it up, but they couldn't they couldn't flush toilets. I mean, it was a real mess.
That is funny. Okay.
Oh, hey.
Are the Annunaki the same species referenced in Sumerian tablets?
Yes.
Okay.
They're most of the ones that are left now are beneficial. We got a group of about 6 or 8 or so in stasis yet. When they come out, we'll know if they're beneficial, because the ones that we're familiar with, the Anunnaki that we know, they will go down and check them. And if they're good, no problem. We take the bombs off of them. They're wired.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You know that.
If they fart too hard or sneeze too much, and boom.
Wow. Yeah, because we don't know they're.
Yeah, you can't trust them, and they're big. They are big.
Okay. Is it true that the Anunnaki manipulated their DNA with various primate species from all over the planet, and specifically Africa, where they first started to mine gold, to serve as a slave race to mine gold and for various other tasks? Manipulated humans, in other words.
To some extent, yes.
Okay.
They found that primates in and of themselves were not what they wanted in terms of the general direction it was going. So they made a whole new set. Went from there.
Wow.
And where are the results?
Well, we didn't turn out too bad.
I don't know yet.
Depends how you look at it, right?
Yeah.
Is it true there are 2 trillion galaxies in just our own universe?
The number is 2 trillion squared.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Everybody likes to ask. That means that our universe is pretty big.
Yeah, I'd say so. Well, I heard that Wells Fargo bankers have been taken out by good guys in the FBI in Reno. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I heard anyway. I don't see, a lot of this stuff is rumor because you can't see the documentation and you can't get a direct witness, because if you do, they disappear. I don't know if they put them on guard duty on the North Pole or how that works, but they're gone and you can't find them. You can't find the fact that they traveled or anything. They just disappeared.
Gee, there must be somebody behind that.
That might be.
Yeah. What about, they also heard that St. Germain Trust had been opened at Christmas. Is there any truth to that?
No. St. Germain, Black Eagle, and all those trusts that are humongous are going to be opened at the same time the collateral accounts are, for a variety of reasons that I won't go into. It would take too much time. But I have this on good information from the elders at several bunkers that Neil Keenan's been dealing with. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Are you able to say anything about what's going on with Neil Keenan these days?
The paperwork is being done. When the paperwork gets done, I usually do my paperwork and my taxes and everything in the bathroom on the toilet. That's me. He's doing different kinds. He's doing good paperwork, so you can't do that. He said he was getting closer to being done, and he was looking wore out. So we'll see how he do.
Okay. Let's see. They're expecting I heard intel that there will be a major economic event that will happen between December 26th of this year till January 24th of next year from the Patriot Intel report. Can you give any detail on that?
Yeah, it's not even a really good probability at this point. It's more or less a possibility. and it may, if it were to do a lot of damage to humans, it probably won't happen. However, we are going to get rid of the ideology of investment. Okay, that means the stock market goes, period. The ideology of money is going to be start to be removed, in that they're going to give you a card that's charged, etc. So these changes, I've told everybody's going to be major changes. When all these changes start going through, it's going to have some interesting impacts. I don't think it'll be bad or difficult or anything. It's just going to be.
Isn't it true that on other planets they don't use money?
Yeah. There's most of them don't, and a lot of them don't even use the card system I'm talking about. But they have. I'm not real sure how to say this. They have a quote, and I use this term loosely, an account where they send, like you do something, they send a block of money to it, kind of thing. Then you have a quote, credit capability. All you got to do is give them the number and they look it up and, oh, cool.
Yeah.
You're well healed. You got lots of cash money.
Aren't they doing the card thing or what have you to help people on planet Earth kind of transition to?
Yeah, that's the only reason they're doing that.
Because we're so
some planets didn't believe in it to begin with, and didn't get into it as far as we've gotten into it, and consequently, they just all of a sudden you don't have it anymore. Poof, gone.
Okay. Next question. What will the punishment and charges for those who have committed treason, felonious treason, capital treason, and so on, what will they really face?
Let's see here. Could be a sizable fine. It could be, forfeiting all profit, all property, and things like that all at once. Everything just goes and you walk away. All the way up to however long in prison they decide, and or execution. Several levels.
So
and we are turned loose with the decision. We decide whether or not somebody should be executed or put in jail forever and all that happy shit. Generally, a long jail sentence is going to mean that they're going to be put into jail for a period of time less than the sentence as a holding situation before they go CET and get their stuff rewired, so to speak. That's one of the parameters or types of things that's going to happen. Some people are so freaking evil, it's just unbelievable to me that they don't just destroy them.
Yeah, isn't that sad that there are people are actually that bad?
That's why I carry a gun.
Greg, what do you think is the fairest and most equitable way to compensate and make sure once we have had a market crash and everyone has lost their savings and the transition has started, how will it be decided in terms of how we will get certain compensation, like when the collateral accounts open?
We're not going to need it. What that's for is to start everything. Okay, don't forget. There's a little wrinkle in all this. It's called a replicator.
Yeah.
You're going to be able to make your own clothes, food, whatever, water. I mean, everything, anything that can be programmed into it. These things are generally 18 to 24 inches long and about 16 inches square. Okay, 16 inches tall, 16 inches wide, 24 inches long, give or take. And that's a household replicator, but it also supplies power to your house. So you're not going to be as limited as you think. Plus, you don't need to butcher animals or plants or anything else to have food. Okay, bingo. Along with clothes. I mean, find a really great design. Like you got a design on your top. Okay, maybe you'd like to have that in a different color, and all you got to do is just go in and make one like this. Same design, same bingo. You got and push the button enter and bzzz, and then look in there and see whether or not the laundry's done yet.
I guess that's just so hard for people to comprehend that type of thing.
Well, it was on Star Trek. You need to watch it. Let's see, what is it? Fifth Element. She was taking this little pill, putting it on a platter, putting it in there, closing the door, hit the thing, and it goes, bzzz, opens the door, and there's a fully dressed, fully cooked turkey, 15-pounder. She's eating the hell out of it. Well, that is another type of replicator. So there's a bunch of different ones out there. Ones we're going to get are programmable. In other words, you put in what you really would like to have back or something similar to it, and it makes exactly that.
That's cool.
Yeah, I love the idea.
I do too. I mean, what a great way. I mean, it just, not having to shop for food, not having to shop for clothes, you name it.
And guess what? All of these people in that do farming and raising animals and everything, they're still going to have an off-world land office business going. Why? Some ETs never tasted an apple or a tomato. I mean, they can't make sauerkraut. That means they're going to have to make it here. Oh, I ought to be able to get $10 a pound for it. And you probably will. If it's really good, horseradish. That's unheard of anywhere. But ET just love the hell out of that. So, pick something and run with it and enjoy all of the fun and games with it. Think about a spaceship landing in the backyard, and you're going to load some boxes in it, and they'll say, "How much do I owe you?" And you'll say, "Put X amount of this into my account." There's going to be a variety of different payment things that can be used.
Mm-hmm. Like you might want to, could you provide a Hoover car?
Yeah.
Or something of that nature.
If you want Bitcoin, they probably would do that, but they're going to laugh at you because Bitcoin is ridiculous.
Yeah, but I think that's about to go the same way the fiat money is going to go eventually. But,
okay.
Alrighty then, let me see what else we got. How much time have we got?
We're about at our limit.
That's what I was thinking. So,
matter of fact, you're probably over your limit.
I think so too.
Because we started about 2:30 and it's 4:42.
Oh, no wonder it's starting to get dark in here. My room is starting to get dark. I'm going, my goodness, I have to turn some lights on here pretty soon. So we'll call it a day because there's always next week.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have a show Saturday that's gonna really blow some minds. I think you probably like it. It's called the Roaring '20s and what the hell? Come on, one more. And deficits.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh, you remember the Roaring '20s? Flappers and
yeah. In fact, I just saw somebody post something about that with some of the people dancing around during the Roaring '20s.
I'm going to do a show all about that sort of stuff and how it applies to today. That's going to be. I'm just going to have fun with it. I'm going to mess up some people's lives in the process. I'll probably get death threats again.
Oh no!
Yeah,
you're gonna have the Roaring '20s.
I carry a gun. I sleep with a gun. You want to come over and cause problems? Go ahead. I could use the target practice. How about, you don't want to be the target, but that's not my problem,
Yeah, I'm sure you're well protected, Drake. I'm sure you're well protected. Even, not only by yourself, but by others as well.
I have a reinforced squad of ET warriors outside 24/7. They might wake me up and say, "You got a visitor. This ought to be fun. We want to watch. I want to get the video," says another one. What the hell are you doing? You get me into trouble and you think this is funny? I can just see it.
Okay.
But
I want to send a couple over here where I'm at. So that's, okay. But anyway, that's all, folks. I guess we'll see you next week. And thank you for listening. And thank you, Drake, for your time.
You're welcome.
And
thank you for having me on.
Anytime. We'll see
Bye, y'all.
Bye, everyone.